Thank you, members of the committee, senators. AB 1762 would allow victims of human trafficking to vacate their criminal record for nonviolent convictions. This bill will require cases of sex crime convictions for children under 18 to be vacated because these convictions were a direct result of children being forced into sex trafficking. This bill will also apply to labor trafficking, in which many victims work without pay, breaks, or benefits. These victims are often forced to commit petty crimes like theft and fraud due to their trafficker's threat and trauma bond with their trafficker. Members of the committee, this is an important bill, and we need to send a message to help these victims so that they can be able to lead productive lives after they have found a way to get away from their trafficker. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Do we have witnesses in support?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. Larry Doyle on behalf of the Conference of California Bar Associations. We're a supporter, not a sponsor, so I thought I'd defer until somebody more important came up. But we do strongly support this bill. It is just a very common sense bill. You do not want to punish people for things that they are forced to do. You want to give them a way of clearing their record to be able to move on with their lives. And in that sense, this is an excellent bill, and we urge the committee to strongly support it.
Thank you. Other witnesses in support?
Micah Doctoroff on behalf of the ACLU of California in support.
Thank you. Do we have witnesses in opposition?
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Amanda Wells on behalf of the Judicial Council. The Judicial Council is on record as opposed to 1762 in its current form. However, the author's office and sponsor have been working closely with Judicial Council staff over the past couple of weeks so that we may draft amendments that would remove the Council's opposition. We look forward to continuing the dialogue and thank the author's office for working with us on this.
Thank you. Next witness, please.
Mr. Chairman, members, Dan Filizzato on behalf of the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, we respectfully have to oppose AB 1762 as drafted. AB 762 would apply to serious felonies, serious felonies. The definition of nonviolent felonies are the strike felonies. Serious felonies are also strikes and would be able to be exonerated under the provisions of 1762. There's no requirement in the bill that I read that shows anything about having to make a finding that the individual has left the profession, has sat there and has tried and has moved towards actually rehabilitating themselves. Because of that, this bill will have two unintended consequences. One, it will actually encourage the gangs who really do most of the human trafficking in California to start to use minors to commit other crimes. We saw this when we changed California's drug laws and the gangs started having minors do all of their drug trafficking because there was not any type of serious consequence to the minor. The same thing will happen with this bill. They will use these poor victims to commit more crimes. The other unintended consequence that I see with the way this bill is written, if a crime is exonerated and there actually is a victim out there who has a court-ordered victim restitution order, that victim is out of luck because if the crime is exonerated, there's no ability to enforce or collect that judgment. There's many of these technical issues with this bill that need to be addressed if this is to move forward. As currently drafted, it doesn't do any of that, so we respectfully have to oppose the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Other witnesses in opposition?
Laura Tanny from the San Diego County District Attorney's Office and also representing California District Attorneys Association. here in opposition to this bill. Both my department and CDAA has been working extensively with Senator Block on a very similar bill, SB 823, which we're working to resolve some of these technical issues and expect to be able to remove our opposition to that bill. In fact, CDAA has, in fact, gone neutral on that bill for some of the very reasons that Mr. Felizardo has indicated. Another issue, a couple issues that Mr. Felizardo did not specify is that human traffickers currently use their victims to human traffic. So, and a lot of times those victims are able to move up into the organization by successfully recruiting other individuals to become victims of human trafficking. And by allowing that crime to be able to be vacated because it's a direct result of their victimization is not appropriate. This is too broad. It allows victims who assault people, who attempt to rob people on behalf of their traffickers to essentially escape any type of liability for that, which again is going to encourage the traffickers to use those people for that purpose. There's currently defenses of duress already in place for victims who truly are under duress when they commit these crimes. Additionally, it allows a second bite at the apple, so to speak, because once a person is convicted of human trafficking, even after being able to use a defense of duress, they can go in and petition for this relief immediately and get the relief immediately that a fact finder did not find was appropriate. So for these reasons, we oppose this bill and request your no vote.
Opposition to the bill.
Michelle Thomas-Shaw, representing Alameda County District Attorney Nancy O'Malley in opposition. We have given some amendments to the author, so we hope continue to work with them.
Okay, thank you. Others?
So we're here in support, and I'm the sponsor of the bill.
Oh, okay.
So we want to speak hopefully after.
Okay, thank you. So that is the opposition to the bill. Are there questions or comments from members of the committee?
Madam Chair, we started rapidly, so the sponsor
That's
wasn't
okay.
able to give any testimony, and we only had one witness in support. So I don't know if you want to backtrack and allow them to be a second witness in support.
That seems fair.
Okay, sorry so much to be late, and thank you for allowing us to speak. Again, my name is Stephanie Richard. I'm the Policy and Legal Services Director at the Coalition to Abolish Slavery and Trafficking, otherwise known as CAST. I'm here today to ask for your support for AB 1762, vacating convictions. And today I stand here on behalf of Keisha. I stand here on behalf of Marty. I stand here on behalf of Alex. These are all human trafficking survivors that CAST has served who have not been able to have their criminal records expunged because the current California expungement law is inadequate to assist them. This includes recently passed AB 1585, enacted in 2014, which was supposed to provide trafficking victims with new ways to expunge convictions. CAST serves clients daily with 10, 20, even 30 convictions. Human trafficking is a unique crime in that as part of their criminal exploitation, they are forced to commit crimes that benefit only their traffickers, yet often because of fear or the very system that's designed to protect them, they're not arrested and they're convicted of crimes. This criminal record haunts them the rest of their life. It creates barriers to employment, housing, and other benefits. And as one survivor puts it, even though I'm free of my trafficker, I still feel the invisible bonds of slavery because of my criminal convictions. California can do better to put a true system in place through this vacatur that we're proposing that recognizes the unique exploitation that trafficking survivors face. And I do want to just address some of the concerns you heard because I really do not think that they are what this bill does. First, we know based on our experience working with thousands of victims that you have to have a specialized standard such as what we're proposing, that just having a standard for prostitution and solicitation and not the wide range of crimes that are necessary will not help a survivor, because if you can only expunge one crime but you have 10 other crimes, you don't see the benefits. And I do want to address the fact that we did take amendments proposed by the DA's Association that now excluded are non-serious, non-violent offenses and serious crimes, as well as human trafficking crimes. So what was said as an issue with the bill was actually inaccurate after amendments that were taken. So we did try to address some of the concerns that we heard. The next thing I'd like to stress is that it makes no sense to me why people are saying that this will encourage criminals to use trafficking victims to commit more crimes. This is about after someone is convicted of a crime and then they use the system only when they're away from their trafficker. And there's no way that this could encourage a perpetrator to use this person, because the only way you can get this benefit is if you reveal who that perpetrator is in the first place and say, no, I was trafficked by this person. It's actually going to give the system, and I hope my partner prosecutors, the tools they need to better prosecute the real perpetrators, the traffickers. And so finally, I'd just like to highlight that this is a very strict court procedure, and I work with survivors every day trying to expunge their records under the current system, and it's so hard for them to go to court. It is so hard for them to relive the experience, and this system is a good balance between giving them justice and making sure justice is ensured, so that we are able to go after the true perpetrator. So now I'm going to turn it over to a survivor advocate to speak more about this.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. My name is Monica Anderson. I'm a survivor of sex trafficking in the Bay Area, Oakland specifically. And I'm here today to speak in support of AB 1762, vacating convictions for human trafficking survivors. I was forced into human trafficking when I was kidnapped in 2006 at the age of 15. Over the course of 2 years being arrested and going to juvenile hall 16 times, my trafficker and his sister never left my side. They made sure I was not able to leave. He forced me into the commercial sex industry and kept me in the life with daily beatings and keeping me drugged. My trafficking ended in 2008 when I became pregnant by my trafficker, and he caused my miscarriage with his physical abuse. He made me work a few days afterwards and told me to go outside and make his money. Through all the abuse, like many victims of human trafficking, I kept telling myself this person cared about me. When I lost my baby, I realized that this person didn't care. He came close to taking my life numerous times by shooting me and stabbing me and making me almost overdose. But when I experienced loss of my baby, it was very different. The one thing that could love me unconditionally was taken away from me. During the 18 months I was forced into sex work, I would work 7 days a week, and there was never a day off. Every day I would work for 13 or 14 active hours, not including travel time. I had a daily quota that I had to meet, and if not, I would be physically punished. The men that would pay me, and I would give the money to my trafficker and his sister for every unwanted sexual encounter. I had to make him $1,200 every day, or I couldn't stop working. I never kept or received any of the money that was paid for my forced sex work during this time. Every dollar went to him. I've been out of the life for 8 years now, and I still struggle with the physical pain that I never had the money to get medically fixed. For instance, me getting stabbed and me getting shot. I don't struggle with my criminal record because I was a juvenile and I was never charged with a felony, but many of my survivor sisters have struggled, not being able to get a job because of prostitution charges and robbery charges that they were forced to commit by their trafficker, as well as I was, but I was just never arrested and charged. I have tried to get my record sealed twice, once by paying and once by a pro bono attorney. When I tried to pay, the application was confusing and I didn't have any assistance. With the pro bono attorney, I received help, but I had to provide a bunch of documents, letters of supports, diplomas, pay stubs, and many other things that made it very difficult to provide. I gave up because I felt like I had to prove above and beyond that I was no longer a criminal. AB 1762 will change lives of many survivors like me and let them finally be free of the invisible changes of criminal arrest and convictions.
Thank you. Since we've heard testimony on both sides, is there a motion on the bill? I believe there's support on both sides. Would you like to close?
I think the witness closed for the whole bill, and I want to thank her for having the courage to be here, not only for herself, but for all the other women and children that are being trafficked today.
Thank you. Thank you. I agree, and thank you for coming forward on this bill and some other bills as well. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, these are difficult hearings to go through because you feel so much for those who go through these circumstances. And as I think of my year on this committee and how many times we've dealt with issues of human trafficking, I think that on almost all of them, I've been trying to do my best to show concern for those who've gone through those circumstances and to try to get their lives back together and not be re-victimized. We have in Alameda County one of the nation's leading experts on human trafficking in our district attorney, Nancy O'Malley. And it worries me and troubles me that she and her department are not in support of this bill. And I have not seen the amendments that were alluded to by the advocate for her department that testified a few minutes ago to know exactly her concerns with the bill, beyond which district attorneys have indicated in their letter. But it concerns me that someone of her statute has not found a way to find reconciliation with the bill that's being proposed to us today, whether that it's too broad or whatever other reasons there may be. If this bill does move forward, I hope that the author will carefully consider that feedback from her, because I know she has my respect and for many in the community that cares so much of those who have been victims of human trafficking. So I'm reluctant to go forward without more information. The committee's going to move the bill forward. I just want to encourage the author to try to look into those issues more carefully and hope that there can be some reconciliation before it gets to the floor of the Senate.
I would echo that, Senator Glazer, because we share DA O'Malley, and she's done, I think one of the reasons we're seeing so many bills, quite frankly, is because of the work she's done.
Madam Chair, we are working with the Judicial Council to address those amendments. So if it gets out of here, as it moves to appropriations, we will continue to address those issues.
Okay, so the motion is do pass to appropriations. Please read the roll.
Hancock.
Aye. Aye.
Hancock, aye. Anderson. Anderson, aye. Glazer. Leno. Lou. Monning. Stone.
Okay, you have 2 votes on the bill. I'll hold the roll open for the absent members. Thank you. The next bill that you have, Campos, is item number 17, AB 1998.
Thank you. This issue, Madam Chair, was brought to my attention during one of our public input hearings from my select committee on the status of women and girls of color. This is a very important issue for both boys and girls of color because they are the ones who are increasingly being incarcerated and are not counted properly. The Juvenile Justice Data Working Group highlighted the problem in a report released earlier this year. The report emphasized that there is a clear problem in the reporting of California's Latino youth population in the juvenile justice system because of racial diversity is ignored. I have witnesses here that have been working on this. I think if we're going to be counting Latinos as Latinos, we need to address this, and this bill will actually do that. I'm going to turn it over to my witnesses.
Madam Chair, I'm ready to move the bill when you are.
Okay, I believe there's support on both sides, so I'd ask
There's
you
some
to be
amendments,
brief.
minor amendments as well.
Yes.
Well, I will be extremely brief. A large part of this bill would change the reporting requirements for 2 major grant programs, juvenile justice grant programs, Youthful Offender Block Grant and the Juvenile Justice Crime Prevention Act. And so to really make it short, the revisions, which are complex, were endorsed and come out of the Juvenile Justice Data Working Group, which was a very broadly representative group commissioned by this legislature. And so there's that behind it. There are some minor amendments that I'm not sure where they are.
Take them in appropriations.
Okay,
Because we can't take them
appropriations.
right now.
I thought that was happening now.
Yeah.
And on the tasking BSCC with looking deeper into how race ethnicity is reported, that's a very good part of this bill, and we support it. Thank you.
Madam Chair and members, Danielle Sanchez on behalf of the Chief Probation Officers of California here in support. I want to thank the Assembly member for working with us on this issue relative to the YOBG and the JJCPA grant requirements. The focus of this is to really make sure that we're providing meaningful data and looking at where there might be duplication, where we might need new data elements in order to ensure that we are capturing and aggregating and providing the best data appropriate for our juvenile justice population. So for those reasons, we ask for your support today.
Thank you very much. Other speakers in support? Speakers in opposition to the bill? Seeing and hearing none, are there questions or comments? And the bill has been moved. Again, we've been working on juvenile justice data for a while.
Yes, we have.
And this is a very welcome bill. Thank you.
Yeah.
Assembly member, and please read the roll.
I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Oh,
Thank
sorry.
you.
Hancock.
Aye.
Hancock, aye. Anderson. Anderson, aye. Glazer. Glazer, aye. Leno. Lou. Monning. Stone.
Thank you. Your last bill.
Thank you, Madam
Assembly
Chair,
member,
for the
AB
opportunity to be.
2000.
Thank you. AB 2000 aims to assist youth living incarceration and probation by providing them with vital documents that they will need as they transition into adulthood. The foster care actually does this. They provide a birth certificate and Social Security and other documents. I respectfully ask for your aye vote, and I will turn it over to my witness.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members. Lexi Howard on behalf of the Juvenile Court Judges of California. This is a scaled-back version of what we give to foster kids. We know that with juvenile justice youth, one of the best things we can do is give them documents and services that start them on their way successfully, whether it is for a job or school. This bill does also help them with one service, that is getting Medi-Cal or health insurance if they don't already have it, because they've lost it often when they're incarcerated. With that, respectfully ask for your aye vote, and here to answer any questions.
Thank you. The bill has been moved. There's support on both sides. Any questions, comments? Would you? Oh, yes. I'm sorry. It's been a pretty long day.
It's been a long day.
Is there opposition to the bill? There was none listed. No? Okay, no opposition. Would you like?
Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you.
Hancock.
Aye.
Hancock, aye. Anderson. Aye. Anderson, aye. Glazer. Aye. Glazer, aye.
Okay, that bill will also be on call for the absent
Thank you.
members. Thank you. Next, Assembly Member Cooper with two bills. Item number 5, AB 1289, and item 15, AB 1940.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. AB 1289 is a public safety measure which seeks to ensure the safety of passengers utilizing TNC services. AB 1289 will hold accountable TNC operators who hire drivers with criminal backgrounds, including offenses for sexual crimes, DUI, fraud, terror, or crimes involving property damage or theft. The bill authorizes a penalty against the TNC of up to $50,000 for each offense for hiring drivers with prohibited offenses. As recently as last year, district attorneys in Los Angeles and San Francisco uncovered 25 participating TNC drivers with convictions for murder, assault, DUI, and other criminal offenses. AB 1289 will assist TNCs to uncover the complete criminal history of prospective drivers and will help ensure the safety of passengers utilizing TNC services. And with me are two witnesses.
Okay.
Madam
Speakers
Chair,
in favor?
members, Will Gonzalez on behalf of Uber Technologies. We're almost in support. We've been having a great conversation with the Assembly member and are working on trying to get to a place where we can be in full support of the bill. I think we're making great progress. We want to keep working with the committee on a few changes. There are some things that we view as the heinous crimes that should be lifetime bans for sure. There are some crimes that I think are minor offenses that we think may constitute maybe a 7-year ban, but not necessarily lifetime. So we look forward to working with the committee member, with the committee and the author. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And this bill is a gut and amend, so it has not been heard by any other committees in the other house. So we will take more testimony on that if there's anybody that wants to give it.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Public Safety Committee. My name's Laura Basesto. I'm here from Lyft. Basically, I have the same thing to say as my colleague from Uber, but we don't have a position on this bill at this time, but we're looking forward to working with the committee as well as the Assembly member on getting to a place where there are no more issues.
Okay, thank you. Others in support?
Madam Chairman, members, Dan Filizzato on behalf of the Crime Victims Action Alliance. We think this is an important bill. Ask for your aye vote.
Randy Perry with Aaron Reed Associates on behalf of PORAC in support.
Are there speakers in opposition to the bill? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, I do have some questions. Our committee staff recommended a no vote on this bill because of the fact that it's not fingerprint-based, which raises questions about name searches for common names or how one would go about doing a background check that wasn't personalized in some way. And I don't know if the Assembly member could tell us why there wasn't fingerprinting or...
Madam Chair, currently these organizations, Uber and Lyft and other TNCs, have been in operation for quite some time. They don't have a fingerprint background check. This is a very effective method to deal with those issues with that. Obviously, we want to make sure riders are secure when they're driving it. As TNC's grow in popularity, you're seeing more and more folks take advantage of it, including some children. We want to try and ensure the safety of those riders. So obviously, background fingerprint checks entail a higher level. And for the TNCs, I think at this point, we've done baby steps with this. I think it's effective, and it definitely will be more in-depth than it is right now. And I think that's why Uber and Lyft, we're still working on some issues with it, but I think for the most part, they are supportive of increasing that level of guidance over their program.
Why did it just come up now? I mean, it's been a long simmering issue, right?
Well, Madam Chair, member, if I could just add, again, Will Gonzalez with Uber. The Uber in California now does over 1 million rides a week. That's just Uber, and Lyft probably still similar numbers. The background check we do now is fairly extensive. If we get any hit on a driver, we actually send court runners into the courthouses to actually pull up the final disposition. We want to know exactly what the final court proceeding, what the final conviction was of the record. We do that in all 50 states. We do that with state, local, and federal databases. We also check driving offenses, DUI. So we do a very extensive background check now. We go beyond that then with the technology. Again, if you've ever taken an Uber, you know the driver who's going to pick you up. You have their photo. You have the license plate number. Your entire ride is being tracked by GPS. We have all the information on the driver and the rider, so it's a fairly safe, comprehensive set of safety measures.
But my understanding is the DOJ doesn't release arrest records.
But arrest records are available at the county courthouses. In that jurisdiction they're convicted in, you can go down and see what their convictions are and what they were convicted for. So that is a level. I mean, they do have folks that go out and research this. So you do get the actual conviction because that is a public record. So we are getting those convictions down there.
Okay, is one of the amendments you're seeking taking arrest records out?
Yeah, if I could, one of the words in the language of the bill that's not clear to us is in section A. It requires that we pull local, state, federal law enforcement records, and there's a concern that law enforcement records would include arrest, and it may not be something the company wants to have access to as arrest records. striking law enforcement records and replacing that with conviction records would make clear that we are accessing only conviction records.
And I would state, Madam Chair, that we've been working with the TNCs on fine-tuning the language. It's a work in progress, and we've actually ironed out quite a few points. So it has been very effective in our communications.
Thank you. Yeah. So we took position and support, right? Okay. So is there speakers in opposition to the bill? No.
Forgive me, Madam Chair, Kevin Baker from the American Civil Liberties Union in opposition to the bill. The bill lacks sufficient clarity and regulation in order to prevent abuses. And this is an area where there are already very substantial barriers for folks seeking reentry. So I don't think we want to add to those for these independent contractors who are already in many ways disadvantaged from employment. And for those reasons, we're opposed to the bill.
Okay. If there are no other speakers in opposition, I think it is a good idea to have background checks for Uber drivers. This bill isn't cooked. It was never heard in public safety in the Assembly. I think that because it's a good idea, I'll support moving the bill forward today, but I think many of the issues noted in the analysis need to be dealt with when it goes to, if it goes to appropriations, because why we don't do something very simple such as fingerprinting, which is very quick, what the defined offenses are that would prohibit employment, whether it would be arrest records or conviction records, all of those things, and probably more than we can deal with something that comes up at the very end, our last hearing, are going to need to be looked into. So if there is a motion on the bill, I will support the bill today because support the concept. But I do think that there are many things that need to be looked at carefully that moves forward. Senator Glazer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think you make a number of good points. I'm happy to follow your lead and move the bill. I would say this, though, that it's a pretty new industry. Everyone's looking for ways to make it safer than it already is. I certainly have taken advantage of the ride-sharing services. And as I've talked to my wife and my daughters, I think that just the whole framework in which a driver comes to pick you up and tracks you, as has been explained by the witness today, makes me feel that it's one of the safest transportation alternatives that are out there today. Doesn't mean that we can't find ways to make it safer. I appreciate the author's efforts to try to move something, even though it is late, but I appreciate his willingness to try to find a balance in how that's done, that we are going to continue to make progress. It's never going to be the answer is going to be done, and we are done with it. No, it's going to be a continuous process as there is in all aspects of our commerce. And with that, I'm happy to move the bill.
Okay, thank you very much. Senator Anderson?
Madam Chair, I agree with so much of what you said, but I think it goes much further than that. You know, we have a lifetime ban in this, and certainly if it's a violent or sexual felony, that makes perfect sense. But when you start thinking in terms of minor offenses, perhaps a lesser time would be more appropriate. It goes on and talks about $50,000 for people that fail to comply. Perhaps that dollar amount would be better suited closer to $5,000. When you start looking at descriptions in it as for example, sexual offense, that doesn't really mean anything under the law. So I love the concept. I think that you're on the right track, but I don't believe a bill that's a gut and amend with this such a short timeline adequately addresses this issue. And my fear is that we potentially could kill an industry, this budding industry, that's 1 million rides in California. I think that's what the testimony was earlier. And we're going to possibly harm this because we're rushing the process. With that in mind, I can't support it today, but if you were able to clean the bill up and straighten out so much of it and write it in more clear language, then I would welcome supporting it down the road. But in its current state, and with the short timeline that we have left, I think there's too much risk involved. So for that reason, I won't be supporting it today. Thank you.
Thank you. The bill has been moved. Assemblyman, would you like to close?
Yes, I want to thank you for your comments. I appreciate them and take them to heart. We have been working on this. We've come a long ways. There's a little more ways to go, and I'm confident that we'll end up with great language. And it might, I don't think it's rushed, but the reason I brought this forward, my daughter drives for Uber. She drives part-time. And she took a lady home one night that was very, very intoxicated and couldn't get out of the car by herself. Had to help her to the door. She barely got in her house. And I just don't want somebody taking advantage of a customer like that. And those things happen on a regular basis, not with Uber, just in life, with people doing things that aren't, nice. So it does happen out there. So that's really the impetus for it. And I'm not looking to bar a lot of folks. And it's just, to me, it's getting there. There's a need for it. As rides increase more and more, it's growing exponentially. And I think in the end, with these folks, we're going to get a product that's a good product. And I think it's going to work out. So you have my commitment to work with these folks and make it the best bill possible. So I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I hope that you'll work with the sponsors, and I do thank you. You've really come to the table in a very positive and helpful way. And also, please do work with the committee staff, and also maybe over in the assembly, since they never had a chance to have a look at the bill. Okay, thank you. Please read the roll.
Hancock.
Aye.
Hancock, aye. Anderson?
No.
Anderson, no. Glazer? Aye. Glazer, aye.
Okay, we'll hold the roll open for the absent members. And your next bill is number 15, item 1940.